All right, it's 7 o'clock on the dot, and it's the first time I'm actually on time, bro.
Nice.
What's going on, brother? How you been, man?
Been good, bro. What's going on with you?
Trying to maintain, bro. Trying to maintain. Got my apple juice in my hand, bro. What's good, man?
You sure that's apple juice in there?
Very sure, very sure, very sure. I'm never inebriated. Never. You hear me? Never. You
Good
never
stuff,
get your
bro.
boy.
Cheers to
Huh?
that. So cheers
Yeah,
to that.
yeah, man. That's for sure, bro. Um, trying to see. Trying to see if I see my joint on here, man. I don't see. There we go. There we go. I see it now. I see it. So yeah. So man, like I would tell you, because we're in the state of current events. Hey, did you get that monkey? You getting these monkey kid sets, yo?
Get the who?
The monkey kid sets, man. Monkey kids.
Monkey kid. What the hell is that?
Oh
What?
man, it's like it's all right. It's like the new Ninjago.
New Ninjago. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
man.
different.
You
Yeah,
ain't get this set, bro. You ain't got that.
no, man. Who's buying Lego? I mean, like, where'd you get that from?
No, don't worry about it, man. It's all right. It's all in the reflexes.
Oh, come on, man. Leave me alone.
So you got to stay. So we're talking about, hey, folks. If you're just joining, folks. You know, we're talking about the state of affairs that we're in, and it's a different world we're living in these days, and it happens so quickly. 1 minute we're in paradise, right? We're in LA, and we're shooting the Lego Master Show, and then next minute we're back home, and then we're all of a sudden famous. But then life gets a hold. Life takes a hold of everything, and then you find yourself in real situations like the COVID situation, and
Yeah.
now we have the George Floyd situation, and
Mhm.
the world. Right now, I think right now, and this is how I feel. Right now, I think the U.S. is on stage, bro, and the whole world is watching.
It
Um,
really is, man. Like, this dude Trump, literally. I mean, from the beginning of the presidential election, I'm like, this dude Trump is going to turn this country into a reality TV show.
uh,
I feel like this is the season finale right now.
this is the season finale for him, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right in the thick of it, bro. You in the Bronx. I'm gonna tell you what's going on here. I'm in between Baltimore and DC, and it's been straight pandemonium with the police and the protests.
Yeah.
And my story is that I'm a police officer that happened to be black too. So I'm actually on the fence between two communities, right? And
Sure.
so so because right now you got the protests trying to protect our civil rights, right?
Yeah.
And so you had that situation, and you had the untimely death of Mr. Floyd, and it pains me to see that whole thing play out. When I first saw it, I couldn't believe my eyes to what was happening. um, and you feel conflicted. To me, you feel conflicted because like I said, I'm black and I'm a police. So it's like, man, what was this guy thinking? I'm in my, I can never. And here's the thing: I could never put myself in another person's shoes, but I show empathy to the next person because you just never know what that next person is going through, right?
Right. Right.
So you're in the heart of it though, man. And I'm watching some of that stuff that happens up there in New York, man. Tell me your perspective on this, bro.
It's definitely scary because it's like, I don't know who's organizing these protests, and I know that some of it is, like in the daytime, everything is all good. Police activity has been amplified. I don't know to what degree. I
Uh-huh.
go outside just to buy food, and there's like just 3 or 4 cops standing on each corner, like waiting for something to pop off. So it's definitely noticeable. I work in retail, so one of our stores, like our sister store, is on the main retail strip in the Bronx on Fordham Road. and they had to shut down the store last Friday because they were holding protests.
Okay.
And I guess with them just being aware of how this stuff is going, you see everything on social media. People are rioting and looting. Like they just decided to shut the whole store down. And I guess maybe the police or some authority got wind of them trying to organize something like that on Fordham Road, to where they're going to start rioting and looting. Mm-hmm. And they implemented a citywide curfew. The first day was like, all right, from 11 at night to 5 in the morning,
right
outside.
Okay.
And what happens? They try to push back. I think a cop got beat up or something like that, and there was people filming all over the place, and people like trying to. There was a couple that broke into a sneaker store and stole something, show themselves coming home, and then show their faces on their stream. Like, it's idiotic. It's senseless at this point. But now the curfew's been initiated at 8 o'clock at night to 5, and it's for the entire week. And I'm pretty sure it's going to get extended. So it's like anything you planned on doing, like you got to make sure you got your dinner, you got your groceries done, everything by 8 o'clock, because they're not playing around. Like, you could just be walking outside and get caught just doing nothing, just being about your business, and you don't know what's going to happen to you. So
right. And see, I thought about that too. And talking to you the other day, we joke about a lot of stuff, and we got our friend Todd, and all right. So everybody, I don't want to offend anybody, but everybody, our good friend Todd is white. So, but he's a he's a funny guy. But so we call, me and Todd lives here. Todd lives here in Maryland with me, and so we call up Jermaine a lot, and we joke with Jermaine a lot. So, but we're talking to Jermaine the other day, and that was some of the concerns that I had, was that you can go out to go get a slice of pizza and get caught up in a bad, I don't even say protest, because there's two things going on here. You got the protests that are going on, and then you got the rioting and the looting going on. So you got two different things that that are, and it's funny because society want to group them all together, but that's not fair to do. You got two things that are happening here, and so you can step outside to get your pie, and you can actually get caught up in a flow of a riot, and you have nothing to do with that. And then you have the police who is trying to stop the rioting, trying to stop the looting, and nobody wears a sign on their shirt say, "Hey, I'm part of the riot," or "Hey, I'm not part of the riot, excuse me."
Right.
So, and that's tough, man. That's a tough way to live. But I'm gonna say that, and I say this is that people are tired. I think that people are tired from, getting the short end of the stick all the time, and so this is like that end result of that, man. And it happens so much and so often that I think that it's funny, because I'm going to say that our children, and I say that is because you have young people out there that are marching in these streets.
Yeah.
And they're brave enough to march in these streets because they had enough of it, and they're a different type of breed, man. They're not talking, they're not about talking, and that's something that I learned about. Like, they tell you, I take these classes, being a police, they send you to these classes and these personality classes, right? And that's part of being, part of having empathy, right? They send you these personality classes so you can relate to the next person without giving action. Like, so they rather you sit down and have a conversation with someone, which you should as a human being, rather than to crack them over the head because they're not doing what you think is ideal, because there's all different types of ideals, right?
Of course.
And so they in this personality test, they were talking about the millennials, right? And how the millennials think, right? And this is how the millennials think, is that why should I begin at the start when I can go straight to the finish? And that means that, and hear me out, that means that they want instant results for the work that they do. And good kudos to them. Who wants to wait? Who wants to wait? They want what's coming to them right then and right now. And where our generation, we hard work and you can achieve and all this, and we're taking a long route when they're going straight to the finish.
Right.
And I think that's a brilliant, way to think. Please chime in. Don't let me do anything, dude.
No, I mean,
if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, you're right. I mean, it's just I feel like there has to be a respect to the process to some degree. Um, it plays a lot into how we absorb media and our attention span and all the other stuff. But I feel like ultimately there's a reason why there's a process to certain things. There's a flow to certain things, and when you kind of step outside of that, it's like almost uncharted territory a little bit. You don't know what type of results are going to happen.
Okay.
So, I mean that's the thick of what we're in right now. So I mean, just gotta kind of, I mean, so you either ride the wave or stay safe in idle water, I guess.
So what happens? You say that, but what happens when it comes to your door? Like you step out for whatever reason, and it comes to you. What do you do?
I mean, nobody really knows how to even prepare to answer that, because it's like you could have your idea of what's going on in the world as you're in the house. But once you're thrown in the middle of it, it's like you have to react. There's no time to really just observe what's going on and then play your best card. So, I mean, it really all depends on what you're getting thrown into. And hopefully it's nothing crazy, but some people, they live in the mix of that. Luckily, my area is a little bit calmer, but I don't want to know what it's like out there at night. Like, I'm not even going to try it, but I know a lot of areas where you can't be caught out there because you don't know what's going to happen. But I mean, it's difficult because, like, the causes, but you just don't want to get caught on the wrong side of it to where, people are like, to me, the looting and stuff is senseless. Like, I don't understand. I mean, to protest, cool. I'm with that all day. But to sit there and break into stores and steal stuff, like, that doesn't serve anybody any good. It doesn't serve justice or anything. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Right. And you know what? Honestly, and we were going to talk about that. One of our topics, folks, was property damage versus life, right? And into what costs. I can tell you what the millennials say. The millennials say is that, all right, who cares about property damage? A life you can't get back, which they are right. They are absolutely right. A life, you cannot put a price on life. A life you cannot get back. But property, that comes and goes. Money, that comes and goes. You can't take that stuff with you. But I mean, but a life, like you say, life, you just, so try to, measure one to the other. Yeah. And here's the police side of me, right? The police side of me says that, property damage and looting, yeah, that's a crime. And that's frowned upon, if you're trying to set out a positive message. And that's what I said. The protests are different from the riots and the looting. You got two different things going on at once. And so it's unfair to group them all together as once, because you got people that are doing the right thing and are keeping, positive protests. And then on the other hand, you got the folks that are really fed up, and the folks that are just, looking for an opportunity, and they're taking advantage of this looting and destruction of property and stuff like that. And I'm not a fan of that. But at the same time, I'm not a fan of anybody, I don't care what color you are, anybody's life being taken unless you, one, already took a life. If you took somebody's life, yeah, I do believe a life for a life, but you should be tried and you should be tried and found guilty among your peers before your life is taken. And my man Floyd didn't get that opportunity. And so, I kind of frown upon that. I do. I frown upon that as a police officer and as a Black man. And so I have a story I want to tell about some of my experiences, but I want to know, and this is how us two friends get to know each other. Tell me something about your interactions with police growing up.
Well, I grew up in an apartment building that was surrounded by houses, but I grew up with a lot of guys who didn't have anything to do.
Uh-huh.
So when you have a bunch of people that are bored, we tend to find things to get into, and sometimes it's not the best, but our block kind of had the reputation of, like thugs are coming out of this block. There's too many people hanging out down there in front of the building and doing X, Y, and Z. So, I mean, cops were always on us and just waiting for us to come out just to mess with us.
Okay.
Um, like we could be doing something as simple as going to the store. And this one time, me and my friend were just going to go get some chips. It had to be like 8, 9 o'clock at night. And some DTs pull up on us, which is
Uh-huh.
scary because it's like you don't know that they're cops at first. You
Okay.
just see a random car pull up. These two, huge white dudes come out,
Uh-huh.
and they put us up against this fence, and they're like, like spread it and check it and da da da. And we don't know what's going on because if anything, if there were cops, and all right, they're doing like maybe a routine check, maybe there's a description we fit or whatever the case is. But it
Uh-huh.
looks like random strangers taking advantage, and that's what made us afraid. And while we were about to run, because we don't know what's happening,
Right.
but once we understood what was going on, we're like, all right, cool, like we'll chill. But my boy was like, nah, we're just gonna run. And then one of the DT said, you know what, if he would have ran, you could have just shot him. And I
What?
looked up like, wait, what? Like
What?
they were just gonna just randomly shoot us,
Uh-huh.
probably leave us on the sidewalk, not even a block away from our building.
Uh-huh.
And for what reason we don't know. They never said what they were pulling us over for or
Uh-huh.
what they were checking us for. They never said if there was any, purpose as to why they were checking us, if we fit a description, whatever the case. You can't ask questions in that scenario.
Right.
I mean, I
Right.
don't know other situations where people can ask questions to get answers, but for people like me, there were no questions asked. I mean, you could be completely respectful of what's going on and still get beaten, still get disrespected, and all sorts of things.
Because
So,
you're asking questions. Yep. Yeah.
right. It's like, maybe I'm asking questions so I could help you do your job. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could get this whole ordeal over quicker, but I don't know. Like, there's no safe answer. There's no safe protocol or anything like that for us. And that's what's really scary because, like, I don't want to assume that all cops are bad. Like, I have so many cops in my family. Like, my grandfather was the cop, my cousins are cops and everything. So it's like, I I lend to both sides, but I mean, there's definitely a problem in urban areas where people with badges, not all of them, but some of them are abusing their power and maybe have some type of agenda to where this is how they blow off steam or something. Like I honestly don't know.
Right. I man, I didn't know that, man, and I'm sorry you went through that, dude. I as a police officer, I'm sorry, like, cause like you said, there's a lot of times where stuff isn't explained to whoever's being stopped, and and it's just a lot of strange situation, and I chalk it up as you know, it says stinking thinking. And I say stinking thinking because you have what's called the old guard, still infecting, the new talent that comes up through the ranks of the police department, right? And some of those old ideals that should be long gone and put to bed and buried away are resurfaced because they're just being, those ideals are being recycled to a new person. So you get a rookie officer, and you get a veteran officer who's from, that, I don't know, that old time era where they do things like that back in the day. And just, it's just the old guard teaching the new talent bad behavior. And it's
Right.
unacceptable. It's very unacceptable. It's not professional, and it's very unacceptable. And so some of my run-ins I had prior to police, it was, I remember being stopped, and look, my folks, not to brag or anything. My folks had money. They, they owned some property and stuff like that. And my grandmother was my favorite lady. All I had to do is, hey, grandma, can you buy me a Mustang? And she would buy me a Ford Mustang. Hey, grandma, can you buy me a Mercedes? She would buy me a Mercedes, right? And so, one time I was driving my Mercedes in the town I lived in, and I noticed a police officer was following me. Young guy, young cop, you know what I mean? He probably was, pressured to, do some productivity. I get it. And so I didn't know why he was following me. So what I do, I go ahead to the gas station, stop my car, go to the gas station, go inside, get some gas, and get me something to eat and stuff like that, thinking that he probably done ran my tags and he's going on about his way, right? So I get in my car and I go back down the street. It's the same cop, and he's pulling me over this time. And so he asked for my license, registration. I give it to him, but it ain't enough, right? Because he think I'm this, my name's Melvin Brown. So, he think I'm this Melvin Brown that has this run-in with the police before, right? But clearly he has my driver's license. He has my driver's license, and he asked me for my social security number, which I gave him. That was fine. And I'm still calm. Next thing you know, I'm sitting on the bumper of my car, and I don't know why, with my hands on my head, right? And so another officer comes up, and he looks at me. He goes, "No, that's not him." And he, "Oh, sir, you can go back in your car." Well, I mean, please tell me what was all that about, because I never had a run-in with police ever before. So what was that? "Oh no, we thought you was somebody else, but I know who I am, and I gave you what you asked for, and clearly I'm not him. But I still ended on the bumper of my car with my hands on my head while you searching through my stuff."
And they searched through it without any warrant or anything, right?
Right. And so from there, my friend, I decided I wanted to be a part of that change. And so I sought out to be the police, because I wanted to represent my community. I wanted to be a Black man who happens to be a police officer, so I can try to take these two communities and bridge them together. And I out of the 18 years, I did that. I've achieved that. And I went into the communities, and white, Black, or indifferent. If you lived in Section 8, or you had, you were living just barely above the poverty line, I was in your neighborhood giving you services, and that was the type of cop that I was. And I say was because I'm no longer a police officer. I've long since retired, and so I'm moving on to something else. But I had an incident as a rookie officer at my first police job ever, where it was a racist issue, man. And it was funny because I chalked it up as, me being a loudmouth kid from Jersey, and I'm below the Mason-Dixon line, and maybe there's a bit of a culture clash, because maybe they just picking on me because my accent, or the way I talk and everything, because I talk like I'm from the street and everything, and I just chalk it up to be that, but it wasn't. It was in fact that this guy really just didn't see me as his equal. So I tell you this incident, right? So me and another Black officer, we were working part-time in a public housing area. And we were on a call where they were chasing a subject, and everybody who had a badge and a gun was after this subject, because supposedly he had a gun or something, and he's running through the neighborhood with this gun. So we were able to apprehend the person, and after we apprehend the person, we all got back in our cars and tried to go back to our duties, right? So we had this one officer who was white, and he was a real go-getter, great guy, but he probably was just a little bit abrasive at the time, and so he wanted what he wanted, and he wanted it now. And so we're riding back to the station, and he's trying to pull this one car over. Now, the one officer that's riding me, the Black officer, says, "Hey, well, what's the probable cause? You want me to stop this car? I'm gonna stop it, but what's the probable cause? Why are we stopping this car?" And he goes, "Well, I'm the senior officer here. You do what I say." Okay. All right. We pull this car over, right? So we got the person pull over. We ain't made contact yet. And so So the white officer gets on the radio and runs the tag, right? Gets the dispatch to run the tag. So the dispatch asking him, hey, are you out with this vehicle? And so he says, well, just run the tag, do what I tell you to do. So they don't know, dispatch, the ladies in dispatch don't know who's inside the vehicle in this patrol car. They think it's me and the other black officer. So they're trying to figure out who's in this car or whatever. So they assumed that it was me on the radio talking trash, and it wasn't. And so they tell the on-duty supervisor, the sergeant, who happens to be one of those boys, right? And I'll say it just like that because I don't want to disrespect anybody. He happened to be one of those boys. And he gets on the radio, tell me to call him immediately. So I call him on my cell phone. This dude is calling me everything but the son of Jesus on this phone. And the sergeant. And so I'm like, yo, I don't, and granted, I'm only 2 years on, so I'm scared. Like, man, I'm about to get fired. I didn't even do anything. Like, I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. I'm about to get fired, right? And so he's called me everything. He's called me the N-word. He's going all in, right? And so I give the phone to the other black officer, and he's like, "Who's this?" I said, "That's the sergeant, man." And he goes, "Just calm down. When we get to the station, we're gonna iron this out." And so we get to the station, and so on the way to the station, the black officer Freeman, his name is Freeman, he gets on the phone and says, "Hey, look, whatever you think that Mel did, that wasn't Mel. That was, the other guy, this guy here." He said, we're in here, following his instruction because he said he's the lead officer. He said that was, this guy, that wasn't Mel. And so we get to the station. He tells the white officer, "Hey, look, don't do that again. You know better." He comes to me and point me in my face. "Hey, let me talk to you over there." So, your boy from Jersey, I'm trying to bite my tongue because I'm trying to be professional, right? This is my profession, right? So I'm trying to be professional. And this guy is calling me everything, like I said, except for the son of God. And I'm taking it, man. I'm taking it. And it's so bad to a point where I think I want to quit and never be a cop again. That's how bad this is, right? And so my partner tells me, "Hey, look, we're going to write this up. We're going to talk to so-and-so. We're going to talk to the lieutenant. We're going to write this up." So we write it up, right? We give it to the captains. We give it to the lieutenants. We give it to the captains. They don't want to do nothing about it. They want to know what I want to do about it. Well, being a rookie officer, what if I was to do this, what would you do to me?
Right.
So nothing was done to it. Nothing was done about it, man. Nothing. But I believe that if I ever said something that was out of line to somebody, or if my actions as a police officer were unbecoming, they would hold me to the highest law of the land. But that sergeant was able to get off saying those derogatory things towards me, and nothing happened to him. So I say that because this whole issue, it's bigger, and it's bigger than George Floyd. It's bigger than him, and I am sad that he had to perish just to bring it to the world's attention, because it's a stinking thinking that been going on for years, bro. It's been going on for years, and everything that you do, even in Lego, which we'll talk about. So there's a lot of, and there's a lot of stories that everybody have that eventually they've been, that stinking thinking has came across their path, man. And it's a shame that the person who's supposed to be the protector is using their position to tarnish that badge, because I'm proud to be a police officer. I'm not proud of that moment that happened, and it ain't got really nothing to do with me. But that situation should have never occurred.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, bro. Like, the thing that I'm curious about is where does this mind frame come from? Like, how far back does this go? So I feel like this has to be, like decades and probably even hundreds of years where people of authority have been doing things like this to, other people. So it's like, where does it come from? How do we figure out how to fix it? because I mean, obviously, there's so many people of color in the force, and yet things like this are still happening. Now, I think one of the things is that it's always been happening to this frequency, but we just have the ability to record it now.
Right.
So now it's more in our face. You know, people that we know have caught wind of it. They posted on their thing. Now we know about it, and you know, the one of the things that I'm also curious about is why now? If this has been happening for years, like in our lifetime, you know, we've been seeing this happen for years now, and I'm pretty sure it extends far beyond us. Why is this the time?
I mean,
everybody's going to stand up.
I could be devil's advocate and tell you why, but I don't want, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna be devil today. I'm gonna be the devil today. So it's election year, my friend. Something major needs to happen to turn the tide in the vote, and this is just it. It's election year. So if it wasn't this, it would probably be the COVID that's going on. So you know, something big, major has to happen. And like you said, civil rights violations have been happening for years, for decades, for centuries. You know, civil rights violations have been happening. It's so bad, bro. It's so bad that towns and police departments have a civil committee on payouts for civil rights violations, bro. That's how bad that is. You got a team that decides they look at each case. They look at each case and decide to pay out somebody if they've been violated, if their civil rights have been violated. And millions of dollars have been paid out to folks whose civil rights have been violated before even any criminal activity happens, before like the criminal courts ever begin. The civil rights, yeah, there's committees that pay out civil rights violations, bro.
But I'm sure that people don't know that. Like, I mean, like, granted, it's a thing and you know that, but like the average person out there, they don't know about this. I mean, they're just walking around victims and have no idea about this.
Yeah, and so it's like I said, it's got to change. I'm glad we're able to have this dialogue. You know, it's not in a normal, and folks that are watching, in a normal stance, this is barbershop talk. I mean, we go to barbershop, we talk about getting stopped by the police, the last party we went to, the family, how the family doing, business talk and stuff like that. But mostly it's the interaction, you know, with police or civil rights violations, right? You know, this is like barbershop talk. And now, like you said, it's on a major platform where everybody's watching. And that's why I said to you before, I think the US is on stage and the whole world is watching right now. So here's my take on it, is that whatever happens, whatever the end game is, it has to happen now, because we'll be repeating this for the next 80 years, like, you know, or the next, I should say 50 years, 1967, 50 something years, you know. You know, I hate to see it go by like that, you know, in vain, you know, but you know, something, like you said, something has to give at certain points, because like, I think the tension has finally broke, man, and people had enough.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, you're saying that, you know, everything is boiling up now because, or potentially because, it's election year. But had this been last year, would this be like so big of a topic? Or would it be another statistic that just happened? Like, you know, like, people weren't going this crazy, you know, when Trayvon Martin, you know, lost his life to, like. But if this is the agenda, or if this is the purpose of it, then how genuine is it? You know what I'm saying? Is it people are genuinely fed up and they're standing up against this? Or is it like what you're saying, where, you know, it's based on the fact that there's an election and this is probably the only way to get Trump out the White House, and now the whole country is on a show? Like I don't know, bro. Like that kind of puts a whole sour taste to the thing, because it's like there's another purpose behind it versus just responding to what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
To me, I hope the civil rights movement, and this is what this is. This is like the Civil Rights Act movement take two, right? Take two, because our ancestors, or our grandparents, I should say, our grandparents, or or in some case for our older generation, their parents, um, went through the civil rights of in the 1960s, right? And they marched and marched and made things just a little bit better. They made things just a little bit better where it calmed down somewhat, right? They got rid of a couple of like leader activists and stuff like that. They got them out the way, but it calmed it down just a little bit. But it was business as usual. So I would hate for this movement to be, calm down and then we're back to business as usual. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because that means that every life, and here's the thing with this, is that either one way, I'm sitting on the fence, bro, because I see my brothers and sisters in blue, and I see my blood brothers and sisters like suffer on both ends. The black community suffering, and those who represent the police department, honestly, are suffering as well. Because you'll never be looked the same. I mean, for what every good cop, whatever a good cop does, there's one bad cop that do something bad, and it tarnished the whole the good all together. So I could do, and they say that you could do 10 good things, but that one bad thing you do will outshine everything else.
right, right.
And that's unfortunate, man. It really is, because a lot of the officers that I associate with, that aren't black, they aren't racist, and that's the stigmatism that I want to make. I want to make honest, is that a lot of people think that a lot of cops are racist. Nah, that's not true. Is there racism? Yeah, of course. Are there cops that are racist? There are some that are racist. There are people that are racist. You got public officials that we put in offices that are racist. You have entertainers that are racist, white and black, that are racist. You do. And I'm not saying that this is okay, because it's not. That's that stinking thinking thing. That stinking thinking. That we have to. That stuff's old, man. You have to move on to something else. Like we have to make a change. You have to.
That's a fact. Yeah. I'm kind of taken back by how many different companies are jumping on the wave and like standing behind us and supporting this.
Uh-huh.
Like, I've never seen such a response. Like, I got something on my feed from Sesame Street.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, like that, like how they've always supported inclusivity, and they don't support any type of racism or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, it's right, because I mean, those are some of the things that we grew up on, and they've always supported people of all colors, like coming together, learning at the same time, and everything like that.
Right.
Never have I seen them speak up about this before. So I mean, it's kind of refreshing to see that. And like I said, I mean, I hope when the smoke clears and everything is said and done, that we keep that same energy. That's the main thing that I'm concerned about. It's like, if you're about that,
uh-huh,
and you feel that way in your heart, cool. Don't do it just because it's like you see everybody on your feed doing it, so yeah, maybe I should too. Like, keep that same energy.
Right.
That's what I'm about.
And see, I'm glad you said that, because I got asked a question on, like, how come I didn't participate in Blackout Tuesday, right? And here's my thing, is that I'm not Blackout Tuesday on Tuesdays. When I wake up, I'm black every day. And so I don't need a social media platform to remind me that what I live with every day. You know what I mean? And so that's so I did that to what, like you said, like I saw some posts saying, hey, look, I'm no streams today. I'm remain silent and reserved to, Blackout Tuesday, And so, I didn't want to, be part of all the noise. It was beautiful to watch. It was extremely beautiful to watch. And it was extremely beautiful to see people participate in coming together as one people, and I watched the stuff about Drew Brees and what he said about the flag and how he would never go for any disrespect of the flag. But if I had, and I tell you, if I had a conversation with Drew Brees, which it'll never happen, I ain't that big. But if I had a conversation with him, it would go like, can you tell me what that flag stand for? And can you tell me what your forefathers put those rights down, who, excuse me, revolted against the king's land to start this whole thing, right? Because they thought that the ideals of the king didn't fit what liberty stood for them, right? And so tell me what that flag means, because if that flag means liberty and civil rights, then we're not living up to that as a country. We're not living up to that flag. We're not. You're being disrespectful by not living up to that. So I mean that's how that conversation would go. You got Lego dropped the hammer, bro. And which shocked me, right? This is not the fact that they came up with $4 million, and I'm gonna talk about the fact of throwing money and actually helping, because I believe that if you're throwing money at a problem, you're not helping, because throwing money at it. I can give you a grant for whatever. I'm gonna throw you money for something. But if you out in the community making sure people get stuff, or making sure that these STEM programs go into these, Title I schools, and Title I schools are the poor schools, like the real poor schools. They can't even afford textbooks schools. Those are Title I schools. And so if you're making sure that these STEM programs and Lego go into these Title I schools, then you're a part of the solution. Just throwing money at something, look, was Bernie Madoff? Bernie Madoff had one of the best Ponzi schemes that the world ever seen. So throwing money at anything never solved anything. But Lego put $4 million towards supporting Black children. I want to see how far that goes. But that didn't shock me. Here's what shocked me is that they halt marketing for police themed sets. So anything that has a police officer in it, or a police car, or anything that has police in it, they're halting production on it. Any firefighter sets, they're halting productions on it. Anything that has anything to do with the White House, they're halting production on it. That is making a statement. And kudos to Lego. Because it's saying that you're standing for something. It's saying you're standing for something. And it's tough. It's tough to stand, like you said, because if you're going to stand for something, you're going to lose friends. Like tonight, we're going to lose friends, dude. We're going to lose friends tonight. And so, but I'm okay, because you gotta stand for something. Like if please don't let me do all the talking, Jermaine.
I mean, it looks like you was going off the notes there, but I am honestly kind of speechless about that, to see that Lego was going to go that far to make a point. They're not. They halted production on all their police sets. And Lego is such a huge company that affects so many families, and I don't know, man. Honestly, I'm really touched by that. Like, it's one thing to like be a part of the community and see how supporting the community is in general, people of all kinds. Which
I'm glad you mentioned that, because we're gonna talk about the Lego community.
Oh yeah, but to definitely see that, a company that kind of like helped raise me and actually kind of kept me out of the streets, that they're that in line and in tune with what's going on. Like that, I'm really proud of that, man. I'm really proud.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I want to see I'm old school. Like, you just don't throw money at me, because like, here's one of the things that I mean by that is that I can drive down Route 95 and hit the toll, and then I see a bum. Highly unlikely to be on 95, but I'm just making the I'm just making the. But I can see a bum, and he comes up and he's holding one of these signs saying, I need change for bread or something like that, and he says, hey man, you got 5 cents? I'm trying to get me something to eat. Well, here's the police in me that's gonna talk right now. I know 5 cents ain't gonna give you anything to eat, but if you ask 5 cents from me, he asks 5 cents from you, asks 5 cents from the next person, 5 cents for the next person. Next thing you know, I got $2. $2 would get me a 40-ounce malt liquor beer in a can that would scramble my brains for a good 5 hours, and it's just what I need to get the edge off. So me throwing money at I would be throwing money at the problem and not finding a way for a solution. So I hope that Lego, them throwing this $4 million, you got plans on, like, Lego, if you're listening, which I know you're not, but somebody that's connected to Lego can probably say, hey, look, make up these programs, take some money, get these programs in these Title I programs, so you have, the underprivileged, and I'm not gonna say Black youth, because that's a small circle, Jermaine. That's a very small circle. I love my Black kids, I do, and I love my, I do the PAL program, I do the after school program. I love those kids, but that's just such a small circle. I want to say the underprivileged youth, and I always said the underprivileged youth, because that's everybody, right? Come up with some STEM programs for the underprivileged youth. Some after school programs is what they need. And this is what's going to happen today. If you provide these programs for these youth, they have something to do after school, which would be, during that time, would be less interaction, to be out on the street and to encounter maybe an officer, of the law, where, things are being like, you run into the situations where we're here today. And I'll just clean it up just like that.
That's a fact. And the thing is, like, just being as a part of the community, I know so many people that, save money just so that they could sponsor these programs. They create these programs straight out of their homes to try to give back to their community. And one of the biggest problems is that to get a hold of these necessary tools from Lego, it's way too expensive.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think if they're going to like put money towards something like that, I mean, granted, Lego, their mind is on making the toy. They don't know how to create programs and stuff like that. Leave that up to the people who are doing it.
Right.
But be part of that to where it could be a continuous thing versus just a one-time deal. All right, boom, we give you this and then good luck. Like,
right.
You have the most influential toy on the planet, and even us as being contestants on Lego Masters, or you just like me, get emails and direct messages every day saying what type of impact we made on people personally, on their families, the connections that they have with their kids, and all sorts of things that they've gone through with their lives. Like, and all we did was just get on a TV show and build. But if you have the most influential toy in the world, you have the ability to affect so many people's lives on a regular basis.
True.
You have the bank year after year to really actually make a change. So I would love to see them follow through with that and continue that momentum and just really be about that life.
True.
If I have to be an advocate for that, then so be it. I would love to dedicate my life to that cause,
Yeah, I mean, and I've always been. Here's some of the things that I've done, and I guess that kind of helped, like, put a target on my back towards other officers that I work with. Thought that I was soft because I was so much more of a community person, right? So they think that I'm a, what they call it, the hugger thug or whatever, right? And so I would rather try to find a solution than to throw you in cuffs and put you in jail, and then we go back through the same cycle again. I see you next week, I'm throwing the cuffs on you, throwing you in jail, and then you back out again. So I'd rather find a more permanent solution that will help you and help the community thrive. And so that was the type of person I have. So I created a lot of youth programs. I created a lot of summer camps for the underprivileged youth. It was times where I was funding these programs out of my own pocket. Like, I remember working midnights, working a 12-hour midnight shift, and then getting off 8 o'clock in the morning, only to drive a bus to pick up kids in Section 8 housing to take them over to my camp at the Boys and Girls Club, and making sure that they had somewhere to go during the summer and play with them all day with, doing activities, sports activities and all that stuff. And then go back home, get 3 hours of sleep, and work the midnight shift and do it again, and you know what? I do it again in a heartbeat, because I knew I was making a difference. And so I'm all about, uplifting the community and making sure, like, so that, for Lego needs to make sure that this $4 million is spent right, and it just doesn't fall on deaf ears, man. You know what I mean? It's a big statement, but here's the thing: that did you know that Lego got a lot of backlash for doing that? When they announced that, it was a lot of folks on that stream saying that Lego shouldn't get involved and it's political and they shouldn't get involved in this stuff. And it's just like, what do you mean you're going to stand by idle while a race of people get annihilated? You're just going to stand by on the sidelines and do nothing?
Now, I do know that Lego is really strong against getting involved in politics and stuff like that. Like, I know there's a lot of Lego artists that are sponsored by Lego, and one of their main things is, if you're going to make political pieces with our bricks, we will not sponsor you. So to see this happen is a huge change, and it's a change in the right direction because it's for the right cause. But
they told Sam that from Lego Master. They told Sam that, like, look, 'cause Sam into the political field, right? He like voicing his political opinion, right? Which you folks, as an American, that's your right. You got freedom of speech, folks. Use it. And so they told Sam that he had to take that stuff down.
Really?
Yeah, they said he had to clean that stuff up off his site because they like you said, they don't partake in political views, right?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, that's crazy how, like, we all had to kind of clean up our social media in fear that, we represent Lego and the company now, or like that's how people might view us, and we can't have anything too racy or, too left field or anything like that. But then now we have Lego doing this, which is like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's like I appreciate it at face value, but I mean, to some degree, I'm just like what's really behind that,
To me, dude, I think you do more, man. Like I said, I'm not a fan of just throwing money at a, there's a problem. Well, here's money. Nah, that don't fix the problem, man. To me, that just don't. And because here's my take on it. The human race isn't a business, man. The human race isn't a loan. It isn't a grant. You can't just throw money at it and expect for it to run. If you're going to make an investment, to the human race, it's time, man. It's time spent, because then you become a stakeholder in that community at that point, because now you done made an impact to the next person for you. And that's what I meant, man. Like, being on Lego Masters, was I hope that is the groundbreaking of every minority that wants to be on a Lego show that is predominantly that show. Let me say, I'm gonna be real, folks. You might be mad, but I'm gonna say it. That's predominantly white. Like, the Lego community, it's predominantly white, man. It is. I think that certain toys are go out to certain geographic areas. And I think that certain toys can actually certain toys, get involved in certain toys and certain hobbies can actually benefit you in the long run because it kind of can mold and shape you to the person that you're going to be. Like people who mess around with Lego, you know, if you mess around long enough, you might be an engineer. An engineer gets paid a lot of money to build stuff, especially infrastructure, right?
That's a fact. That's a fact. Like during your childhood, what time? I mean, granted, I mean, like even you when you were a kid, you didn't really mess with Lego until you were an adult. So like,
Nope.
what did you and your friends play with as a kid?
As a kid,
Yeah.
because we were 80s babies, we always went to the ballpark and we either played basketball, played football. So if we couldn't be outside, it was Sega Genesis and Nintendo, dude.
Right. So back then, like the only things that, you know, I guess people of color could really strive for, we wanted to be either some type of sports athlete or we wanted to be entertainers. Back then, there was no like real field for us to even get into like designing video games because I'm pretty sure a whole lot of us would have jumped on that.
Right.
But those were our only two things that we could kind of gravitate towards. So, I mean, I think now with everything that we have access to, like that definitely opens up different, you know, different paths. But
Uh-huh.
this is the best time to take advantage of that and really exploit people's imaginations and stuff. So, you know, that's why I feel like, you know, we it's important that we represent that demographic because we need something else to look up to.
Right.
That was like my whole main thing of being on the show. It's like I want people to be like, oh, I want to be like that when I grow up.
Uh-huh.
Whether it's trying to be a rapper or, you know, well, I mean, if you're talented in that stuff, by all means. The whole point is to create, and we need as many avenues to create as possible because an idle mind is the devil's playground.
Indeed. Indeed. Indeed.
So,
So what was your let's talk about hey man, you sure you want to be my friend, man? We might lose a lot of friends, man.
bro, I'm totally fine with you, and I'm gonna keep into the wheels.
What we about to talk about now might make some folks that you know, man, butt hurt, man. But you know, I gotta tell it from a perspective. And hey, look, if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong, y'all. You know, I ain't gonna get mad. You know, I ain't gonna get mad. I ain't gonna delete your comment from my post. You know, I'm not gonna do that. You sure you want to be my friend, BX?
Everything that we talking about is justified and it's real stuff. We're not sitting there just ranting about random things about what's grinding our gears. We're talking about real things that need to be addressed. So, I mean, I definitely stand up behind that all the way. And from the looks of the comments, a lot of people do too. So, I mean, I say we move forward, bro.
All right. So, my first impression of the Lego community, that the one I know, the YouTubers, I don't want to say names because I don't want nobody to get mad. Last time I said a name, somebody got upset. So I don't want to say no names. But it was like 50-50, man. It was like 50% that was, you know, very receptive of me as a black male coming in. And it was that other 50 that just, you know, gave me the cold shoulder, right? They'd rather not be bothered with me, right? And you know, you can kind of tell. And even when I went to display, and the first time I ever displayed was in Brick Fair, Virginia, right? And I saw you there, man. The dude that ran the theme, he didn't even want to you know, talk to me. Like it was bad, man. He said, he came to me and said, oh well, I don't have no room for you. I said, what do you mean? I registered. You should have room for me. Well, I'm telling you right now, I don't have no room for you. Well, either, you know, you're going to make some room for me or you're going to give me my dillies back, you know, because I done paid for my registration long ago. I should have room. So he pondered around a bit. And he said, well, you just take this table here. And that's how I ended up on that corner, right? And lo and behold, they put the two black dudes back to back. Like, so we're together, right? We're probably the only black dudes in the building that's displaying, but they put us back to back. And so yeah, they put us next to the daggone loud bounce house, right?
Bounce house, yeah.
They put us next to the bounce house, and that machine was loud as I don't know what. And so I don't know why, who would put a bounce house next to some Lego. I don't even understand that, man. But you know, that was like, and here's the thing, outside of you and the people that knew me, that came there to see me display there, nobody talked to me, dude. Nobody.
Yeah.
Clutch talked to me because Clutch knew me from YouTube, and the people that were from YouTube, talked to me, but nobody else. I walked through that thing as like if I was a spectator, right? If I was a spectator and nobody knew me. And here's the funny part about that is that the first Lego show that I went to that I wasn't a displayer was Philly Brick Fest, right? And I went as a spectator. And even the folks like the YouTubers that didn't know me, I was there to go grab, do some fan stuff and grab some sig figs and stuff like that, like Haley Bricks and Hoosier and them. And they knew who I was, and they were very receptive, right? They were very receptive to me. That's that 50%. And I broke my rule. I said a name. Shame on me. But yeah, man. So it's 50-50. Even when we talk about Philly Brick Fest last year, right? 2019, and the situation that we dealt with. I don't want to say what, but the situation we dealt with, right? Where, yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that. I'm not gonna say because I want nobody to get upset. I felt right then and there, I felt that, and see, look, ain't I'm nice. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, right? So I'm not gonna say exactly what. But BX, no. So when it all played out and it was just me and you, BX, I kind of felt the tension there. And here's the thing about it is that those folks were our friends, right?
Yeah, at least we thought.
And like I said, if I'm wrong, please. Most of the people that know me, they got my phone number. They're friends with me on Instagram. Please DM me, and I'll explain it and we'll talk about it. And I still love you tomorrow. I still love you tomorrow. I'm not going to hold no grudges and be mad about anything. But you felt like, and here's what I'm saying. We felt like we were part of the community and that we had a place at the table, and we didn't. Yeah. And so that right there, I don't even know how else to explain that. Like, how else do you explain that other than that, that tension was there, like you felt like you were unwanted, like a stepchild.
Yeah, I mean, I think a huge part of it lends itself to the fact that most of these events are kind of unorganized, to where, like, yeah, if you know that somebody's going to come through and need like 3 or 4 tables, don't just sit there and be like, oh, just go anywhere you want. And then we pick a spot. It's like, we're being mindful. We're not just going someplace where we think that we can squeeze in. We're trying to be as completely separated and not step on anybody's toes as much as possible.
Right.
Yet we still find ourselves in these situations, and then it's like, oh, well, now you gotta move. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't think it was anything against us personally, but I think that the situation could have been handled better, and we did what made sense. And oh, come on, what's going on there, guys?
Oh, sorry, that was my light. That was my light. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. I didn't mean to mess up your point. You good?
Oh, no, I mean, I just,
keep going, dude. You all right?
I definitely felt the tension, but I mean, based on our personality types, we eat that all day. Like,
yeah,
it's not a thing for us,
If you say so. If you say so. All right. I if you say so. You got my story straight, so I'm good. All right. So how you feel about and you know what? Let me talk about this, right?
Yeah.
So you know, we're coming off of, and this is for everybody. I'm no longer talking to Jermaine, but this is for everybody. This is what me and Jermaine had experienced, right? You know, we get accepted to Lego Masters, which was an awesome moment in our lives, right? And you know, the experience on there was just so awesome. Like, you know, it was really great, right? And they were excellent, man. And so um here's where some of the racial tension come in. And like I said before, like this, the stinking thinking
Okay.
happens. So they you know, you have a social media outlet, right? There's, you know, and it's picked by, you know, the producers and stuff like that, right? But for whatever reason, and I'm not gonna give them a shout out. I'm not gonna say their name. I'm not gonna give them the props so they can get all the hits and likes and stuff like that. But there's a media outlet that's out there, right? They're bashing me and Jermaine as like inferiors, and it had a lot of racial epitome to it. And I said the word epitome, right? It has a lot of racial epitome, like we're inferior builders because of our skin. And I say it just like that because that's what it was. That's what it boiled down to. And they wrote this whole paragraph. But here's the kick about it is that they look so legit because they have exclusive content from the producers, because the producers didn't know that they were writing that type of article about us. They didn't. Our producers, they didn't know that they were writing that article. So I brought it to their attention. But by then it's already too late because they already ran with the article, right?
Mm.
And so it's crazy because then I see, like they say you never chase comments on Facebook and social media and stuff like that. That stuff will drive you crazy, which is true. That's why I stopped, and I had to tell another person to stop because you drive yourself crazy, right?
Yeah.
But you get some racial epitomes in this thing, like, you know, Mel and Jermaine should have never been in the first place because they're, and you look at that stuff and it's like, man, you know, and here's my thought on that. I'm black, happen to be a police officer. You know, you might be a person that just don't like black people, but then you run into a moment where you need somebody to save your life, and the officer to save your life or the paramedic to save your life is black. Are you going to choose then?
Right. And I mean, I've heard of situations where people will still be that stubborn and be like, I don't want to go to that hospital over there because I know that, you know, they serve the black community or whatever the case is, like that. Like, I don't know, man. Like, some people will be stubborn till their grave. But I mean, I'm just thankful that, or, you know, at least being hopeful that that type of population dwindles a little more each year. That, you know, we, like, I think that we did our part, or that we could continue to do our part with being able to spread love through what we create and try to reach more people, so that way they're deterred from that stinking thinking.
Right. And here's the thing is that, you know, one thing I do love is that, you know, man, I want to tell you, it's tough in one hand because it's like, man, you know, even though I'm retired and stuff like that, and I still have a lot of brothers and sisters that are in blue, they're black, white, or indifferent, you know, but they represent their communities and they put their lives on the line every day. So here's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see anybody, like police or the community, get killed in this combating thing. Because like what I'm saying to you is that, like, you just told me that the safe protests go on during the day, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the mischief stuff that happens at night, the rioting and stuff like that, the rebelling and all that stuff happens at night, right?
Right.
And I don't want to see the community get hurt. I don't want to see anybody that served the community get hurt. You can protest. You can get your point made across. And here's how you do it. You have the peaceful protest, right? You respect the hours of whatever curfews they have for safety reasons, right? And at the same time, it's election year, right? So now the slate starts clean. Nobody can tell you no lies. You do your homework on a person, You do your homework on a person. And here's what's more important. Everybody's worried about the presidential election, right?
Right.
You got the folks like all on a local level. So everybody's running for mayor, everybody's running for city council. Start with those local people that really make the direct impact in your city. All right. If they're questionable, don't vote for them. Don't vote for them. But here's what I don't want to happen, right? Well, people that are complaining, a lot of folks skipped out on the vote, man, and a lot of folks skipped out on the vote, and whoever was supposed to win didn't win, and now you're unhappy with a lot of stuff. I hate to see that.
But I mean, I don't know. It's kind of discouraging at the same time, because it's like, when you look at the last election, Trump didn't win based on votes, because Hillary had the majority of the votes.
Right.
It's like what was it? The electoral
colleges, right?
Right. So it's like what do you do when you have the citizens out there voting for one thing, but then they get a completely different result? It's like, how do you really still believe that your voice is going to be heard?
Right. Yeah, I get that. I dig that.
So it's like, it's one thing to say like, all right, well, your vote matters, your voice matters, but I think that what we need to start doing is just like really, like being the change that we want to see. Like
you said it. You said it for me. Yep. You said it. Get involved.
Like, stop, relying on politicians, because like there's so many people. I mean, I'm not going to say so many people, but there are people that I've known that wanted to become politicians, and just watching them through their journey, like they went in with a pure heart, but it's like once you get into that industry, because that's what politics are, it's an industry, they begin compromising their morals and the things that they stand for, and then it becomes all about the goal of getting to where you want to be, and you're not even the same person you started off as once you get there. So it's like, yeah, this person says that they're going to do Y and Z, but these are all commercials that kind of lead them to getting into that position of power, where there's people above them telling them what they need to do now that they're in this position. So, I mean, honestly, like, we just have to really like kind of govern ourselves to that degree, to where, if we want to see a change, do it ourselves. Like, if you want to see people eating healthier, then start your own garden. If you want to see, try to get people, out of trouble and get them doing productive things, create a program for them. And it's, it's a balance between dealing with regular life and having to figure out, how do I want to implement this change? But it has to start somewhere.
I mean, I agree. You hit the nail on the head, man. And it's so much to say that, like, hey, look, like you say, you're challenging folks. Hey, look, become that change that you want to see, and run for office, do this, do that. You know what I mean? But here's the thing with that, is that a lot of folks don't know how to, like you said, run for office, or or be a local official and stuff like that. Some folks aren't even registered to vote. Some folks don't even have a driver's license, and that right there can set a community back 100 years.
It could. It definitely
because
could.
someone already has the upper hand on you, because they're already educated. They got the tools that you don't have access to. And that's what I was saying, like, before, don't just throw money at, because you see a problem. Find a solution to use that money so that this never happens again.
Facts. The first thing that we got to do, bro, is like start educating people on the tools that are out there. I mean, people will definitely use that as an excuse, and ignorance should not be an excuse, no matter where you come from.
Right.
Like, if you're privileged and you're ignorant to what's going on around you, that's not an excuse. If you're, underprivileged and you have ideas that you want to implement, like, we need to start putting out this information, educating people, so that way at least people who have the intention on making the change have the ability to make a change. And I think that's one of the biggest tools that are kind of used against us, because one, we're not taught to go looking for this information, and two, a lot of it is just hidden from us. Like, we have a lot of distractions between us and the stuff that we're supposed to be exposed to.
Much agreed. Much agreed. Like like, you know, this Blackout Tuesday happens on one of the local election days, like on a primary election day, right?
Mm.
And so you have some of the protesters out protesting, right, for hours while people are voting, like, because Tuesday was the day for the primary ballot.
See,
getting distracted, right?
There's too many distractions, bro. So see, like, that's wild.
Tell me, what's your take on property damage? Like, say if you're a business owner. I ain't gonna say if, you are a business owner, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get to that, because we actually have a Lego master who may have lost some property, right? That was there, but it's an iconic piece. And now, folks, please, wait a minute. This is my disclaimer. Don't get me wrong. Life always is above property in my book. I value life way before property. Forget your property. I'd rather choose life, because we can't. Here's at the end of the day, and here's what it is that I watched my mother die, worried about material things, until the last minute she realized that it really didn't matter. I watched my grandmother die a couple years ago, worried about material items, stuff that she built up over the years together, and until her last breath, where it just didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter, because you can't take that when you go to the pearly gates of heaven. You can't take any of that with you.
Nope.
And so what I say is that you're a property owner, right? And this stuff is going on. The looting's going on. They're breaking into banks. I don't know how I don't even know how you get your balls up to go break in the bank, because after you breach the doors or the drive-through window, what do you do next? You're not getting in that safe unless you got a big industrial drill or some C4 to blow the safe.
Right.
They don't keep money in the drawers when the joint is closed. They don't. So, they're breaking into stuff. What's your take on the property damage, my friend?
My take, honestly, like I said earlier, I think it's completely senseless. There is no statement to be made by breaking into any establishment and stealing from those stores, because these are the same stores that are supplying your community. Now, granted, I think, what was it, in the state where George Floyd was murdered, they set the police station on fire?
Yeah, they did. We'll talk about that too.
So, like, if you're going to do any damage, not that I advocate, anything happening to that degree,
right?
But at least that kind of makes more of a statement than saying, I'm gonna bust into this Foot Locker that's been closed for the last 2 months because of the pandemic, and I'm gonna go steal me the new Jordans.
Right.
What does George Floyd have to do with that?
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody of importance saying, oh, well, yeah, like he got some new kicks. Like, it doesn't do anything. Like,
right.
And it's crazy, because I was having this conversation with my friend the other day, and she was saying, well, if anybody that I knew, if anything happened to them, then I'd be burning up the city and da-da-da. And it's like, yeah, I get it. You have that rage and everything inside of you, and you want to make a statement. But I'm like, if anything happens to me, don't go breaking into anything.
Right.
Start a movement and start educating people to where it builds up into something. Don't break into a store and for my purpose. No.
Right.
that doesn't do anything for me, or the fact that I'm gone, it doesn't do anything for my family.
Right.
Who now has to figure out what to do without me. Like,
Right.
try to do something constructive to prevent this from happening to other people.
Right.
Or like start organizations, start financial education, do something productive for the people rather than giving them a purpose, looking at their stream and saying, oh, all these people are breaking into the store around the corner. Maybe I'll go put a mask on and join. Like, no, that's not, you're not doing anything.
Right.
You're being destructive, and I mean, you're not making a statement. You're killing the community that you live in, that you thrive in. It's like, it doesn't make any sense, bro.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with you on that. It's like, like I said, life is above anything. Don't get us wrong. Life is above anything, right? If I choose life before, like I said, forget your property. Forget your property. And like I said, George Floyd didn't get that opportunity where he should have sat, trial for whatever was being accused against him. He should have had that opportunity, and that was taken from him. But like you talk about property damage and like looting and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff is here's what happens is that, like, corporations like Target, whatever, they can write that off as a loss and stuff like that. I'm not too sad about that, right? But it was actually somebody it was a business owner who was out marching and being part of the protest and being part of the community and stuff like that, only to come back to his store and found out his store has been looted on. They broke the windows, they took all his stuff and stuff like that. And he's got a mom and pop shop. There's no second store, there's no corporation, right? So if he goes under, you go under. And the thing about it is, a lot of people say, oh, you could write it off on your insurance. You get your insurance, file your insurance claim, and that's it. Here's how insurance claims work, my friend. And I don't know if you know this, but I think you do. With insurance claims, you pay your premium and stuff like that, right? But with insurance claims, they do not give you a blank check that says, here, go to town. You have to buy back the stuff that you lost, and then you get reimbursed. So if I have that's Ty's display. If I have no money, if I have no money, because the folks done clean me out, because I'm running this business, and everything all the pennies that I had went into running this business, and yeah, I got insurance, and I paid my premium, but I can't buy back everything that I lost. I can't. So you don't get a full, insurance refund.
Yeah,
So I'm belly up. I got to pull up stakes. I'm done. I'm out.
that's a fact. I think one of the mistakes that people are doing, they're correlating life versus property. One has nothing to do with the other.
Right.
You need to stop being distracted with that whole debate saying, well, I choose life over property, or property over life, or whatever the case is. There's no correlation whatsoever. A man lost his life. People protest to make a statement that stuff like that needs to stop.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the fact that people are rioting. They're using this platform as a reason to go out there and be angry. And the crazy thing is, not all of this is being done by the people that are angry about the injustice. There's a whole nother group of people out there that are just rioting specifically to make us look bad as a people.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like an anti-Black Lives Matter movement going on, to where they're doing things as vandals, but advertising themselves as Black Lives Matter to start a whole nother problem.
Right.
That's ridiculous, bro. Like don't compare the two. Like, anybody who's rioting, they are wrong. Like you said, it's a crime. Looting is a crime.
Right.
And, it makes sense for the police to try to put measures in place to try to stop that. Not the police in the world could sit there and say the actions that we do from this point on are going to affect the injustices that happen to George. There's nothing you could do about the spilt milk to that degree, but protect what's going on now. Rioting and looting should not be happening, and nor should it be compared to the loss of life, or like you got to pick a side. There's no sides when it comes to this.
Right.
There's no, like, there was an injustice. If you're going to be about anything, if you're going to come out your house to do anything to make your voice heard about that, all right, cool, go protest or go, start programs or something like that. But I mean, don't sit there and say that people are justified, rioting and looting, because it has nothing to do with the cause that's going on right now.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Just honestly, they got too much energy because they've been in their house for the last several months. People are having fun outside. Let me go out there and do something stupid, or like people have way too much time on their hands, too much energy, and this is kind of the results of that too. There's no logic behind it, bro. Like, protest, cool. I'm for that all day.
Right.
Do it peacefully, do it safely. Do I think that people should be gathering up in huge masses when there's a pandemic? No, that's also very stupid. You might have mask on, but you're still like shoulder to shoulder with people. That's a bad look, bro. Like, the COVID rate is going to go up.
Yeah.
They got to be mindful of that as well.
Right.
But I mean, a protest ain't a real protest unless if you're in a mask. So it's like, but
you got to get in there and get in the game. You got to get in there.
That in itself shows the lack of organization. Like, if you have somebody who's about that life, organize it so that you could protest in an effective, safe way and actually make a difference. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Should police stations get set on fire? Probably not, because I mean, it's not going to affect the dudes that are like on leave for letting the guy die. They weren't in the building when they set it on fire.
Right.
They're on leave. They don't have to go back to work. So what do they care if the police station gets set on fire? But it's like there's so many better ways to go about it. And nobody's taking the time to stop, think, and move effectively.
Right. Here's my little two bricks. Forget the 2 cents, but here's my 2 bricks on it. Right. So you have a community that's doing a protest, and they're uprising against the civil rights, which is very, very noble. It's very noble to do, right? And this is probably going to go down in history, right? And so there has to be a change that has to be made at this point, right? So here's my take on it: is that through all of the protesting, the looting, and the rioting, and all that stuff that's going on, and the police and stuff like that, who benefits? And I'm sad to say this: who you think benefits the most of all of this? Think about it. Let me know when you give up.
Go for it, bro. Go for it.
Easy go. You gave up that quick? It's the police, bro. It's the police. The police benefit from this, and I'll tell you why. So you put the police, because you have to have somebody that's protecting the city, right? You have to have somebody that's protecting the citizens who are doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? And protecting the property that's being vandalized and stuff like that, right? So the police are out there, and here's the thing: is no police department other than maybe NYC, Chicago PD, and maybe some other big cities that will have about 20,000 police officers in one area in one time, working at one time. Other than day work and all your administrative people. So you got all these police officers who are working overtime to be out here in the middle of these streets until like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, till these protests, whatever, die down for the day, and then come back again that night to do it again, and come back again the next night to do it again, and come back again, right? So, some officers are getting paid double time plus the hazard pay, because you're putting these officers at risk, right? You're putting these, not only the COVID, you got the pandemic, but now you got people that actually, trying to ambush the police, which you shouldn't do. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be out there doing that. You just shouldn't. All right. And you got, people that are trying to do bodily harm to our protectors, right? And you shouldn't be doing that. And so they're out there getting paid, bro. Police officers don't work for free. So when you think about it and you sit back and you do the math, because dollars make sense, you know, the people that you hate, you're putting a coin in their pocket for your madness, because somebody has to deal with it. Somebody has to deal with it, right? Somebody, and it's them. They have to deal with it. Do they want to? No. That's why they're being compensated for it.
Wow.
You know, so there's a bigger picture to life. You got to open your eyes up and wake up. Like, you know, you got to wake up. The people that you despise are the people you making rich.
That's bananas, bro.
You stick with me. I'm gonna learn you something, man. You stick with me. I'm gonna learn you something, dude.
That's so true, bro.
Yeah. It just, you know, I like how they did this antenna. It's nice. I'm still in that. I'm still in that idea. Yeah, man. So, you know, I don't mean to dampen nobody's parade, but think about that. Like, if you never thought about that, think about that. You know what I mean? That, you know, you're making, you know, you're doing these, you know, these rides, and like I said, one is different from the other. You got the protests, you know, you got the protests, and you got the riot and the looting. But either way, you have to have police protection there, right? The city's there, the fire department is there, right? They're there. Guess what? Public Works is there because y'all trashing the city, so they got to clean up, right? So, and guess who's the ultimate payer of that? The people that live in that city that pay taxes, bro.
Absolutely.
So an officer could have, I don't know, if this goes on in 2 to 3 weeks, an officer can have about almost close to a $5,000 night $5,000 a month in overtime. If you do it over 3 weeks, right? About $5,000 in overtime, maybe more.
That's true.
You know, I'm just saying, you know, people that you hate, you're making them rich. You shouldn't hate them, but if you do, you're making them rich with your madness.
Makes sense. Jesus.
You all right over there?
Yeah, I need to go get some water, bro.
You need a nurse? You get some water, you'll be back. Dude, where you going? What? Oh, man, you flying from the set, bro. What?
You got water? How come I
Now, wait a minute. It was frowned upon when we was in Lego Masters. It was frowned upon me because I wanted to take a bathroom break. It was frowned upon. It wasn't frowned upon anybody else, but it was frowned upon against you for me trying to go to the bathroom during one of the competitions. And I just wanted to go to the bathroom bad.
Well, I told you before the show you should have wore a diaper, but you didn't want to put the diaper on. So, I mean, what do you want me to do?
This guy.
No, there's a clock ticking, so come on.
Go get your water, my friend. Go get your water. Hey, folks. Hey, folks, I need y'all to keep me company while Jermaine go get his old man break on. He go get his old man break on right now.
Well, I didn't.
Yeah, man. Yo, Mark said, get your act together, man. Get your act together, man. I need you to act like a real professional right now.
You didn't tell me I needed to bring an hour and a half worth of supplies with me, okay? I'm sorry. Sorry, Mark.
Unbelievable, dude. New Yorkers, man. I tell you, man. New Yorkers. All right, let's see who we got. You got Antoine Wilson. What's good, man? You got Mark. Oh, Mark, where you been? Hey, Mark, man, I got to tell you, dude, I'm really missing my daily text, man. You used to text me like every day, man, and now you don't even text me no more. I understand, you know, you're a celebrity, you know, a superstar, you know. You got Ragsy. Ragsy's in the house. Oh, girl, we're getting ready to talk about you here in a minute, Ragsy. We get ready to talk. As soon as a bathroom boy get back. Who else we got? My man Jesse is in the house. Jesse, I'm digging this Monkey Kid set, man. I'm digging it, man. I'm digging it. Come on, dude. I gotta get ready to go to work in a minute, man. Like, what you doing? Oh, Jermaine, you're killing me, son.
Easy.
Yeah, get back in here. So look. So look, I put up a picture of one of the Lego stores in New York, right?
Okay.
And our girl Ragsy has one of her pieces, like, and it's an iconic piece, right? It's Abraham Lincoln, and I love that book that was they wrote a book about him, and I love that book. I think Abraham was one of my favorite presidents. He was one of my favorite presidents because he hedged his bets, not because, you know, the slavery thing and stuff like that. He hedged his bets, so he was double dealing, like, you know, up north he had the support up north, but he also did some double dealing down south too. So he had this awesome general, Ulysses Grant, who ended up going on and being a president later on. But, you know, he had the general, you know, this hard-nosed general, you know, running his war. But at the same time, he was making deals with the South, so they secede to him, right? And so, you know, he just the guy who hedges bets, and I like that. That's what I liked about him, right? And so I always called my grandmother, like, you know, Abe Lincoln, because she always would double deal. Like, she would always hedge her bets, right? So she would have like 5, 10 people working on the same job together because she wanted the job get done.
Bro, wait. You were calling your grandmother Abe Lincoln?
Yeah, I used to call her Abe Lincoln because she used to double deal, dude. She used to double deal like Abe Lincoln, man. She used to double deal just to get the job done, make sure it was getting done. She used to double deal, dude.
Any one of my grandmothers would have backslapped me twice if I called them Abe Lincoln.
She thought it was funny. she thought it was funny. She did. She thought it was funny. So you had Ragsy. She made this iconic piece. That was Abraham Lincoln. Some of you seen it, and some of you probably didn't get to see. But I say it's iconic because he fought for slavery, which turns into, like, you know, which was the start of, you know, civil, you know, the almost the start of where civil rights started to transform, because you know you couldn't have slaves, and they said you couldn't have slaves anymore, but it was still going on. Yeah. But it's iconic because this is basically what we're looking at is the second civil rights movement right now. And so it's just iconic that piece of work was in that store that got looted. Yeah. And so she's up in arms. She doesn't now don't get me wrong, folks. It's her work of art. She put time of it. She cares about it, but not that much. She realized what the cause is, and Ragsy is always down for the cause. In fact, she'd probably be out there trying to protest in a day or two anyway. So yeah, she's always down for the cause, you know. So, but her thing was that it's so iconic that piece, that Lego piece with Abraham Lincoln's portrait sitting in that window during the time of civil rights. That's a very iconic story.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, around us, like, I just went downstairs to grab some food, and they're just starting to border up all the windows and everything. But it's crazy that Lego wouldn't have boarded up. Like, that's Rockefeller.
But they did. Man, look, a mob of people, boards ain't going to do nothing, G. You hear me, dude?
Was boarded up and
hold on. Have you ever seen The Walking Dead, my friend?
Yeah.
And you see when they get all the zombies get around, and it's like at least more than 10 of them, and how much power they got. If it's more people, they're gonna push past something. Right? It's more zombies. If it's more zombies, they're gonna push past their gate. They're gonna push past the doors. They're gonna overwhelm you, right? So if you got I hate to say the mob, but if you got a crowd of people that are pushing past these glass doors that are boarded up, man, them boards are coming off. That glass ain't gonna hold these people. It's just not. If they broke into a bank, son. If they broke into a bank, bro. Huh?
Everybody wants money, so all right, you got a bunch of idiots trying to break into a bank. But this is a clearly labeled Lego store. That means that whoever broke in there had to love Lego. They weren't going in there for BS. They were going in there trying to get that $800, Lego Star Wars set, and they knew what they were doing. Like, you don't just break into a Lego store and think I'm gonna just grab whatever I can get my hands on. No,
bro. All I know is it's gonna be a lot of Lego on eBay, son. it's gonna be a lot of Lego on eBay.
come on, bro. Like, I know that the stores have been closed for a minute, but you don't go like messing up the Lego stores because people are rioting. No, that's sacrilegious. Like, come on.
Bro, it's I'm just saying, yo,
One thing
it's
I know is just windows.
they didn't vandalize the Lego. They went in there they go, they put some in the bag, and it's gonna be a lot of Lego on eBay for sale, y'all. Get your PayPal ready. Get your PayPal ready.
That is ridiculous. Windows are one thing, but if it's boarded up, you had to really like want to risk your life for some like come on, just stop it.
Bro, you must ain't watched The Walking Dead, dude. A crowd of people, a crowd of zombies can push past that door, dude, with no problem.
Okay, and then zombies, they want brains, they want, to eat people. They don't care about Lego specifically, but I don't know, bro.
A lot of people gonna turn.
Those weren't regular protesters. Those weren't rioters. Those were AFOLs.
Uh-huh.
Came out of their basements specifically.
Bro, if they were gonna do that, they could have won a brother, man. I could have got my picking, man, because I that whole haunted house thing went down, man. I was so mad that I still didn't get my haunted house yet, bro. So I just found out that the Lego store near me just opened up. They're doing curbside, so I'm gonna see them tomorrow. But I was so mad I didn't get that haunted house. By the time it went up on sale, it was already sold out, man, because it kept saying you got to be VIP, and I was already logged in my VIP. I did that for hours, bro, and then finally when I got through, it was already sold out. I was so mad, bro. I was just devastated, man, devastated. So I understand the pain. I get it.
Well, yeah, but still, like, come on.
So what's your final thoughts on the civil rights movement, man? And that's what we'll call it.
I mean, are we really calling it this? Like,
that's what they're fighting for, right? Like his civil rights were really violated, right? Wasn't it?
Oh yeah, but like,
what do you want to call it?
I'm not sure. Like, I mean, I would definitely love to hear some ideas from the people in the chat. What would they call this? Is this the new age civil rights movement, or like, what is this right now? But my final thoughts on it. I mean, my priority is that I want everybody to stay safe.
Uh-huh.
I want your voice to be heard. I mean, definitely don't do the whole looting and rioting thing. That doesn't do anything. But if anything, we need to become the change that we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like people need to stop standing on the side and just, like filming it with their cell phones. Like that to me, that whole thing is disgusting. Like,
okay,
it's one thing that if we're going to put it out there as evidence and whatnot, but I mean, I shouldn't see stuff like this on World Star Hip Hop.
Right.
Like, this is stupid. This is senseless. It's mindless. And I mean, granted, there's no way to police the police, but yeah, we
there is, my friend. There is. I'm glad you mentioned that because that means that the show just gonna go on a little bit longer.
Oh, right,
I'm glad you mentioned that because this show. Yeah, you go ahead. This is a good debate show. I like debate with you. We're like was it pardon the interruption with Michael Wilborn and the other dude. So we're gonna debate. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I mean that was a majority of my point is that please stay safe. Please remember that COVID is still out there. Don't loot, don't riot. Let your voices be heard through organization and productive measures. Now, I want to know what you have to say about policing police.
All right, so you can you can police the police, right? So you have what's called civil service boards, right? And these are peers from a community, right? So New York City has a civil service board, right? And so what happens is that every misconduct that an officer does, the civil service board looks at, and like remember I told you about these payouts and stuff like that. Man, the storm is for real out here, dude. Gee, it's really like pushing stuff around here, G. Yeah, we got a little thunderstorm coming in. And so when a police officer has misconduct, stuff goes to grand jury, like the officers that they just found guilty. Those charges will go to the grand. Well, they ain't found guilty. They just put charges on. So those charges, what happens is those charges will go to a grand jury, and they'll go ahead and decide whether the case is solid enough to go forth on those charges, right? And so from that point, but it's a shame, like I said, it's a shame that it has to get to that point to find out if an officer is going to be bad, or you have a bad officer, something like that. So for instance, you had the one officer, I don't want to mention by his name, but the first one that got charged, he had, I don't know, anywhere from 12 to 15 incidents, stemming a racial epitome, right?
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Some lights and stuff going out. Oh, shucks. All right. And so when it gets to that point where like you have an officer that had these multiple incidents in his past, that's where these checks and balances are starting to miss, my friend. And that means that the higher ups, like the lieutenants or the internal affairs or the ethics and integrity board are losing touch with what's going on. And it's like they're not doing their job to get that bad apple out the way and done with. And here's the kicker, that it's like even the Ferguson officer, right? Like back, remember when Ferguson happened? Mm-hmm. That officer all of a sudden disappeared. They separated themselves from that officer. He disappeared. You never knew where he went to. Of course, you didn't hear nothing else about him. Well, chances are he probably moved to another state and became another officer. That shouldn't happen.
Definitely not.
That shouldn't happen. So it's you say that the police should be held accountable, or we need good police and this and that. It's the system that surrounds the police that allow these bad few go in and out of the system. And so that is broken. You get yourself involved in the civil service boards. You get yourself involved with working with the police. And I'm not talking about the street guys, the lieutenants, the captains, the chief, the people that makes the decisions. And there, your police department should look like you, should look like your community. So there's a way you could police the police, but you got to get rid of the stinking thinking, and you got to get rid of the people who have stinking thinking.
Now, what I'm curious about, because I know that, as we get further into the future, we have a lot of movies out there that are kind of touching on some real personal subjects.
Uh-huh.
Like, for example, with like 21 Bridges.
Yeah.
As a police officer, like, how do you feel how accurate that movie is? Is that a real thing to where like different stations might have their own agenda, or like they have a certain thing going and they don't want new people to come in and mess with that, like.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, here's the thing: is that they were actually probably telling a real story, right? And to a certain like police department, they were telling a real story. Now, not to say that, oh yeah, that's a story that happens in every police department. No, it doesn't happen in every police department, but does it happen in some? Yeah, it does. And that's that part of that stinking thinking. Like, you figure that an officer has spent 20 plus years and close to retirement, and he has a mess up. Well, since he was a good boy, all these years and served and stuff like that, he was an honorable officer, stuff like that, and he had this one mess up. We're gonna overlook this. We're gonna make sure no, like no, we're not. That's where you got the integrity board for, like the integrity, the guys do the integrity, because it's still, even though after this officer is gone, we still have to run this shop with integrity, right?
Right.
And so you run into those situations where some of those things are kind of overlooked because they don't want to burn the officer who's close to retirement, right? But somebody ends up losing in that favor. that favor, right? Somebody ends up losing, and it's the community that loses in that favor because they want justice, right? You know, um, and it's tough because, like, say if you had a private organization and you had a private security organization, right? And one of their officers decided to do a no, right? And he's been there for 20 plus years, close to retirement, right? You know, got all these things going and everything, and he does a no, and you think that they're gonna say, oh, you know what, dude, you know, we're gonna keep you on, and we're gonna hush on this, we're gonna sweep this under the rug so you can have your retirement. They're not going to do that. You know, it's a private organization. They save money cutting that dude, cutting that dude where he stand and get him on out the door, right? Because, you know, it's a business, right? It's not personal. You messed up. This is the professional thing to do is, you know, okay, you messed up. This is the penalty. You get fired. Yeah, you lose your retirement, but you should have thought about that before you did what you did. You had a lot to lose.
Right, right.
You know, and that's where those integrity and ethics happen. You know, like I said, officers should be held to the highest, letter of the land, you know, because you are the keeper, you are the gatekeeper of the law. And if you violate that, what makes you so special than anybody else?
Right. Now, I have an idea, and I know it's an extreme hypothetical situation that'll probably never happen, but what if, is it possible, or what would it be like if they just completely cleaned house, wipe all the stinking thinking out, everybody that's been there, give them nice little retirement packages. You only been here for 15 years? Fine. Retire. We need all fresh new blood, and just try to move forward with that level of integrity.
Okay, you do that, Chief Gardner, right? You do that, right? You do that, Chief Gardner. Who do you get to train these new fresh officers? These new fresh officers to take over the ranks. Who do you get?
We hire people that's going to train them the right way. They're fresh too.
Nah, that's too open-ended, my friend.
It's too open-ended?
Too open-ended.
I'm just like, when does the cycle end? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it could end. It could. Like I said, no, I don't want to discourage nobody. It could end, but you have to have a plan. Like, you have to have a plan. Because here's what happens is that, you get an officer who retires, right? And he say he grew up on stinking thinking, right? Well, then he wants a retirement job and he becomes a police academy instructor. What happens?
Then you're just introducing the stinking thinking to the new people.
Right. Now you follow me. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it's just like, the whole point that I'm trying to get to is, how do we get people like us to believe that they can make a change if there's that type of thing going on?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're not going to sit there and penetrate any pre-existing agendas or, things that they got going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's unrealistic, but it's like, what do we do to actually begin implementing a change if these type of things are already in place?
Right. It's a mystery, man. Somebody's got to solve it, man. Not just somebody, but a community. A community has to solve it. It'd be unfair, for one person to bear that.
Right.
So a community has to come up with an idea and solve it, man. Or we back to square one, man. After all the protests, after all the looting is done, everything. If we don't have an end game, and this is what I was saying to somebody before, if we don't have an end game, we're back to square one.
Right. So I think that's one of the first things that we need to establish is, granted, we know that the smoke is going to clear, and after all is said and done, we know that time is going to come.
Mm-hmm.
We need to create an entity or something that people could represent that keeps regular people in that same energy and mind frame. Like, not to say that we got to protest all day, every day for years to come, but just as far as wanting to see a change and be dedicated to some degree, even if it's for 5 minutes out of your day,
Right.
towards something of where, we could see that change happen. Like if there's something that they could feel like they could be a part of, where they could still feel like they're low with it and not be all in your face about it, then I think setting that undertone would allow people to keep that energy and move forward, even after the election and all this other stuff, after all the protests. Because, I mean, in all reality, after all this protest and stuff, it's still going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll still be somewhat afraid to go into certain neighborhoods or caught as, the wrong person at the wrong time. But it's just about keeping that energy. And if people feel that they can contribute to it without being in a spotlight, I think that would definitely go a long way as far as serving the community and the cause.
I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah, I think like you said, it's not for, we're at the age now, it's not for one person to decide. You're going to need a community of people. You're going to need a whole lot of people to fix this thing.
Right. And I think one of the problems with the civil rights movement in the past, well, problem and not a problem, but the fact that there would be leaders, that would lead a movement. At that point, the powers to be will see that leader as a target. But if we don't sit there and assign that, like you said, to one person and make it a people, then it's hard to sit there and just target everybody. They'll try, but it's not like they could just hit one person and then the whole movement is dead. But if you have a people moving in the same direction for the same cause, then it's there's no way to stop that, really.
Yeah, I mean, I much agree. I guess that's a topic for another day, my friend.
All right.
Well, folks, we appreciate the dialogue. You guys have been great. Please, if you got any questions or something we didn't cover, please list in the comments. The thunderstorm is kicking my ass right now, so I got the power down. So send us questions. If you got any questions, anything we didn't cover, please let us know. We'll do a take two, because somebody has to voice their opinions. Somebody got to do something. So until then, you guys be safe out there. Stay safe from the COVID. Stay safe from any violence or anything. Just stay safe to protect you and your families at any cost.
That's right. Just keep creating, keep going.
Yep. Have a good night, folks. We love you.
Peace.